chug, 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 chug,
Hello and welcome back to the Wizard Staff. I'm your host, Guy.
And I'm Blake.
We are two drunk novices who like to talk about EDH. We drink and swear, so you've been warned. Please drink responsibly when talking about children's card games. Tonight is the night. Tonight is not the last night of 2025, but it's certainly close, and we're trying to get this done because it has been a hell of a year.
It's the end of 2025, and so, of course, it's our end of 2025 Commander review for the whole year, I suppose.
Yes, it is. I know personally my favorite episode of the year that we do. We get to look back on everything that's happened in the year. We get to talk about the good. We get to talk about the bad. And all the things in between.
Yeah, I don't really listen to any of our past episodes except for the annual review episodes. Because I'm like, there's just so much of that happens. And I feel like those episodes help me be like, what even happened in like 2019? And I'm like, then we listen to us talk about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So if I just listen to like each of the annual reviews back to back, I'm like, man, so much has happened, but like ultimately these are the things that matter through all the hype and the overhype and constant hype. Like, this is what actually matters and like is remembered. So they're my favorite episodes to listen back to, and the only ones I listen to.
Yeah, same. I prepared listening to at least the last 3 years, maybe. So, gonna feel pretty good going into this. And if this is the first one you've ever listened to, we'll just do a general, kind of outline. But we'll do a timeline of the main sets and events that have happened. We'll go over some of the secret layers, any rules committee, or I guess now WotC changes, whether that's bans, announcements, and then we'll also kind of talk about what we think is best new commander, best new card, and kind of the number of new commanders that have gone on this year. So, a lot to talk about, and we're just going to get right into it, but of course, right after we talk about what we're drinking. Blake, what are you drinking?
All right, so tonight I am drinking from Incline Cider House. It's a cider that you can often find in grocery stores here in Western Washington. And tonight I'm trying one of their less known flavors. This is their Imperial Tropical Pog, so P-O-G, Passion Orange Guava. So it's... Some of you listeners may know Pog as the fun, very fruity, almost like fruit punch type drink. And so that's what I was hoping going into this. It is an 8.4 alcohol by volume, which is very high percentage for a cider. Usually it's it's like a beer where it's around 5%. So it's kind of a high percentage. And I was kind of hoping that it would taste like a fruit punch thing because it was Pog. And all the ingredients have things like apple juice and orange juice concentrate and Pog concentrate. But I'm not quite sure the whole process, but it how do I explain this? Ciders are either dry or sweet. This is very dry, dries out your mouth. And I was expecting more of a fruit punch where it feels very quenching and sweet and So this is the opposite end of the spectrum as I was expecting, and it's a high percentage, and I'm just I am not enjoying this as I had hoped, to be honest.
Interesting. I mean, I hear passion fruit and guava, and I love that kind of flavor combination, so I'll have to try this next time I'm out there to see, what do I think?
Yeah, because recently in contrast, Schilling Cider has this thing called Polar Plunge, and it's basically a alcoholic fruit punch that's a cider, and that's great. It's only a seasonal item, And like, if I could call them and be like, make this a year-round product, I would, because that's more of the kind of thing that I want. But enough about me. Like, I've said my piece. What are you drinking tonight, guy?
Yeah, enough about you. So, I recently picked up a white wine from Aldi's. It's I think, pretty well-known grocery store. It's something that I have more access to here now that I've moved to Ohio, which has been a big life update for 2025 for myself. But I picked up this brand. It's called the Winking Owl. It's a cheap brand, and I was like, alright, we'll give it a try. I like owls. And yeah, I'm already like 3/4 deep into the bottle. It's pretty good. The day I picked it up from the grocery store, which was about a week ago, I was like, okay, do I pick up a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio? And I was pretty torn. I ended up going with a Pinot Grigio white, because I was like, I think this is typically what I like more, though I do like a Sauvignon Blanc. And then, that evening, I went to a wedding that had the Winking Owl Sauvignon Blanc. So I was like, excellent. I get to try the other one there. And I think after trying between the two brands, or not the two brands, but the two types of wine, I do enjoy this Pinot Grigio more than I enjoyed the Sauvignon Blanc. So I think I made the right choice.
Okay.
But it's just a $6 bottle. Very good.
I was gonna say only $6, and like you're already 3/4 through it. Like, you gotta be feeling good.
Yes, I feel like I can talk about the entire year of 2025.
Oh, perfect, because there's a lot of bullshit.
That's what we're drinking. Let's get into it. I'm gonna start us off by talking about the first. So, okay, this is actually interesting because this is the first year for Magic since the announcement last year that going forward, 25 and beyond, half of the standard sets that we would be getting are Universes Within, and the other half is Universes Beyond. So, Blake and I have made the decision that we will primarily focus on the Universes Within sets. So we will dedicate a lot more time to talking about those, and then do a general overview of the Universes Beyond sets at the end. So we're not going in necessarily sequential order of when they came out, but we will talk about every set by the end of this episode. So we will do the first of the main sets that are Universes Within, which was Aetherdrift, which came out February 14th. If you don't remember this set, it was a extra planar set that took across the newly named Avishkar, Amonkhet, and Muragonda. So, Avishkar, what's that? Well, that was the new name that they gave Kaladesh, which they did have an in-world name change for. Spice 8-Rack recently came out with a video that's 4 hours long that does talk about this a little bit.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours into
would
that
recommend that. Yeah, same. So, you know, if you want to learn a little bit more about like some of that, maybe go listen to that episode.
I think that one's titled like Revolution Against Fascism.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Blake and I are not lore experts. We're barely card experts. So, you know, you can learn a lot more about like, you know, some of the stuff that happens that leads up to that. Okay. So, Aetherdrift is a multiplanar set taking a place like a speed race to the death. It's kind of a trope that we've seen before, so has a lot of vehicle matters, it has a lot of cycling, and it had a new mechanic called max speed, which was something that cared about like dealing damage, and if you could do it each turn, then you reached a speed, and some cards cared about that. That's it. Blake, do you remember what we did this year? Which was the first time we've done this?
You're probably going to say it, and I'm going to be like, oh yeah, totally. But right now I don't. What is it?
Well, this is the first year that we've done a competition to see who can get more of the cards. So, okay. Also, well, this is now promotional material for me to say, if you haven't listened to any of our other reviews of the sets, go listen to those. But so Blake and I, throughout the year, have been having a contest where we each pick 3 commanders, 399 cards, and say, these are the ones that we think are going to be the most standout from the set. And then at the end of the year, meaning right now, we would then see who was more correct.
Yep, I remember this. Mm-hmm.
Yes, the way that it works is you would rank your first pick, that would be worth 3 points. If you got that correct within the top 5 commanders that have come out for that set, you would get that 3 points. If it wasn't in there, then you get no points. So it didn't necessarily matter if you were correct that it was this bright spot, so long that it made top 5. But you could only have 3, so you had to rank like who you thought would be the most likely to be in there. So, okay. We're going to go now over the top 35 new commanders that came from Aetherdrift. So the first one was Hashatan Scarab's Fist, which had 19,115 decks. Mendicant Core Guidelight, that was in second place at 11,337. Temet Noctamon's Will, 10,263. That's third place. Fourth, Captain Howler, Sea Scourge, 8,234. And then fifth, Ketramos the New Dawn, 7,521.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the top 5 new commanders. And then looking at the results, Blake, I got Ketramos. That was who I said was number 1. So I get 3 points. Hashatan, I said was number 2. So I get 2 points. And then Loot the Pathfinder was not on there. So I get no points for him. So that's 5 points for the commander. And then you said Captain Howler as your number 1. So you get 3 points because he was in there.
Okay.
2 points for Ketramos. And then Loot the Pathfinder, also not in there, so no points for him.
Yeah. So what I take away is, initially, people were really hyping up Loot, and then in the long run, nobody gave a shit about Loot.
Apparently, like, he's kind of the forced mascot that we've gotten from WotC.
Yeah, WotC's been trying to, like, force it, and some people either are for it, they're not for it, or because some people are hating against Loot, they're like, he's actually fine. Like, yeah, I'll cheer on Loot. So it's a really interesting dynamic in terms of, like, WotC's like, hey, here's this cute little guy, right? You want to buy a lot of merchandise and, like, cards that he's in. You want to see him every set, yeah? And then it's such a mixed reaction from the player base.
Yeah, and we've only gotten Loot since last year. 2024 was the first time we got Loot, I think. So,
yeah, because he was introduced in OTJ as like the grand prize inside of the vault, right?
Yes, I think that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then we saw him in Foundations. He got a single card, but that was just because like Foundations was kind of like a core set in a way.
I mean, and he's been throughout the sets. I know he's also been on like the holiday card for the year where he's just stuffing his face with like candy.
Yeah.
Maybe that was from
so
last year.
So WotC's like, you better like Loot.
Yeah,
You
because
better like him.
we've already started producing him overseas, and then like you better buy him. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of funny, and like it definitely is funny where like I think the one I'm more surprised about is Ketramos, the black white Exile Matters commander, where that's sort of a unique color identity and design space that I had never really seen before, and people were initially really really hyped about him, and not that people have lost that hype, but it's not necessarily the top, whereas I thought like in the narrow scope, quote unquote, for of a set, I thought Ketramos was going to maintain like near the top, but he seemed to fall a little bit towards like 3, 4, or 5. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm genuinely kind of surprised by that too. I thought this coming out, and there was a lot of talk about him during the spoiler season, that I was like, okay, this has got to be the commander that we see people talk about the most. Now, I will say, Hashatan was one of the backup commanders for one of the decks that came with this set. So Aetherdrift got 2 commander decks. Hashatan was the backup commander for the Esper zombie deck. Mm-hmm. So that might have helped boost his numbers a little bit, but he was still twice as popular, apparently.
Yeah, like it's funny where like Hashatan is twice as popular as the number 2. Like I'm like, wow, that's a big difference. And I guess maybe I like this one. To me, it kind of makes sense because like I knew Hashatan was like in the top 5 initially, and I know there was a lot of buzz about him from the CDH community, but I think maybe the biggest indicator for me maybe should have been like the card Tortured Existence, which just skyrocketed in price. It like used to be like a few pennies, and now it's like a $5 card because of Hashatan primarily.
Mm-hmm.
I was just not expecting what are they called? Temet, Noctum's Will, and Mechaton Core Guidelight to like become the number 2 and number 3. Like they weren't even on my radar at all, which I feel dumb about because I wasn't expecting them.
Mendicant, I agree with. Full stop. Because like I don't even know what that card does right now. Temet Noctumon's Will, that was the face commander for the zombie deck. So I do see how, again, maybe some of the numbers boosted by people like buying the commander decks might have helped, but yeah, this certainly was kind of a surprise. So then moving on to the 99 cards, the top 5 cards, I did clump the Verge lands together because this was the second time we saw these types of cards, the first time being in Duskmourn. Then number 2 was Monument to Endurance. This has been included in 77,000 decks. Muragonda Raceway, 62,000. Full Throttle, 58,000. And Unstoppable Plan, 49,000. Notably, the Aether Spark, which is a pretty unique card that we'll probably talk about a little bit more later on, that was number 6 at 47,000. So just barely doesn't make it. So going back to our rankings, Blake, both of us put the Verge lands as the...
So we were at least smart enough to recognize, hey, this land cycle that's good is very good. It's our top choice. And yeah.
Both of us get 3 points for that.
Yeah, good on us. And like, I don't know about you, but like the longer I've played, the more I'm like, I should stop underestimating lands. Lands are broken. People do not play land removal.
Yes, lands are the heart of the game. We both put the Aether Spark at number 2, but neither of us get points for that because the Aether Spark did not make top 5. I get 1 more point for Unstoppable Plan, which I put as the 3rd card on my list. You put Radiant Lotus, which I don't think would have been a bad pick, but considering it was a Lotus card, but it did not make the pick. So at the end of this set, we get me with 9 points total. You have 8 points. I guess what are your kind of thoughts on this set?
Thoughts on this set in general?
Yeah.
This set was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was bad. I kind of like their improvement on the plane, where like, like the initial time this plane happened, like the name of the plane and like some of the motifs and characters were like a bit like, come on, like you clearly didn't talk to like in any like Hindu or Indian people and like it shows, and it's bad. And like this time, like they have over the years, and like it's better, like they've justified these changes by like an in-universe revolution, which is very interesting. Again, go listen to Spice A-Rex video, who dives into the topic for like 4 hours, and it's going to be more nuanced and thoughtful. So I like that, kind of like mixing things up to create a better like continuation of the plane. I do like that. One of the downsides, which a lot of people brought up, is when you typically go to plane or a set, you think that's going to be the only plane or set, generally speaking, unless the marketing has really primed you for like a multi-planar set. And so like it was really confusing for like myself and other players when like you not only went to Kaladesh, now Avishkar, you're also going to Amoket, you're also going to Muragonda. And so like it's really 3 sets in one. And one of those sets is being like renamed. And so like a lot of people got confused by that. And I've watched the movie Red Line, which is like an intergalaxy space race, high energy, flames, and like cutthroat, anything to win for the grand prize. But like even then, I'm like, this is a bit. This isn't. It's not as polished and refined as I would like.
Yeah, okay. Personally, I share a lot of the initial, like when I first kind of got into this set back in February. Like I agree a lot of with what you're saying. At the end of this year, though, I find myself like liking this set a lot more. I don't know if it's also because like so much of the Universes Beyond stuff has kind of like made me be like, yeah, Aetherdrift was cool, wasn't it? But yeah, I do like how, personally, since March of the Machines, we've been able to do these new types of sets where we can have multiple planes. I don't know if this was the best execution for the first time around, because like you said, like Kaladesh has been renamed to Avishkar, which already feels like kind of like it could be its own set in general, talking about like the revolution of that. But I do think having a set where it takes place over multiple planes is a cool idea, and personally it's something I would like to see going forward every other year, maybe every 3 years, just so we can get a little more of that like jumping between sets.
Yeah, and like it's a balance, right? Because I know that like with the plane of Muragonda, it's all in theory supposed to be vanilla creatures. So like there's been a portion of the player base that I've always asked for like an entire Muragonda plane set, and Wizards of the Coast staff have looked into that idea, and as my limited understanding is, like that's just not feasible in terms of like making a draftable standard environment and creating interesting cards. Everything's just going to be a vanilla, and there's not really a way to make a full set of it. And so this is, in a way, like trying to meet a bunch of needs where like people want more Muragonda cards, but there's just not enough design space. I don't know if that's the right word, but there's not enough design space for an entire plane. So I don't know. Even then, like I kind of understand like why they did what they did.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I've been holding off on whether or not like talk about this now or talk about this later. I think I'll talk about this later, and I will not forget, just because it is an important thing, and I think it's very funny. but
Do you
I
need
will
to write a
remember
note
this.
to yourself?
No,
write a note to
I can
yourself?
do this. I know I said I'm 3/4 deep into a bottle of wine, but I can do this.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, overall, I think Aetherdrift, maybe not the strongest start we've ever seen to a year of Magic, but like overall, like it was fun. That's my undisputable opinion.
Irrefutable. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It also did kind of introduce vehicles as commanders, which was a big like rules change within the commander format. But at the same time, like everyone looked at it, it was like nothing's broken. All right, we're kind of okay with this.
So no, wait. So that was kind of what I was going to talk about, but this is not the set that introduced vehicles as commanders. That doesn't come until Edges of Eternities. So what I was going to say is, I think it's really funny that we had a set early on in the year that was all about vehicles, and we got several legendary vehicles, but at no point were they like legendary vehicles. They can be your commander. It took several more sets to get to Edges of Eternities, where they also introduce spaceships or spacecrafts, as you know, hey, these can be your commanders, and in addition to vehicles. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. But we can talk about that a little more once we get to Edges of Eternities, because Blake, why don't you talk a little bit about this next set?
This is why you're my co-host. You keep me in check. All right. So the next Universes Within set was Tarkir Dragonstorm. It came out on April 11th of 2025, so not too far after Aetherdrift. I'm just going to say this now. I think this is one of the more popular sets of the year. I think part of that is because the plane of Tarkir is a very interesting plane that we've been to before, with a lot of history and a lot of lore. And most importantly, it's filled with fucking dragons. Like,
fucking dragons.
You get fucking dragons. So, like, set mechanics. Dragon typal. Like, there was also this introduction, I believe this is when it was introduced, correct me if I'm wrong, guy, but of omens.
Yes.
Where it's kind of like adventure cards, but like the subtype is omens, and like after you've cast them, they shuffle themselves back into the library.
Yeah, it was really interesting to read Mark Rosewater's explanation of how they got there, because it was meant to be like more like an evoke, where the dragons enter the battlefield, they have an enter trigger, and then they get shuffled back into the library. And it's like, oh, you see the dragon for a sec, but then it goes away. It's like an omen. But then they decided, no, we'll do it as like an instant sorcery type thing, and have that go back into the library, which I was like, okay.
So in addition to omens, we also had mechanics like Endure, Flurry, Mobilize, Harmonize, and Renew. Some of the cards we talk about later this episode, we'll probably talk about them. So, we had a total of 26 new commanders. The most popular one was Tibalt Balanced Scale at 21,840. Next up, we had Zergo Storm Render at 13,109. So, we go from 21,000 to 13,000, almost half. So, that's kind of notable to me. Then we have Ureni of the Unwritten at 12,293. Kotis, the Fang Keeper, 12,668. And Felithar, the Steadfast, 11,521. So, a lot of these top new commanders are like what are they called? The Spirit Dragons of the realm. And then you also got a few other cards like Zergo, the new version of Zergo, and Felithar the Steadfast, which is like Toughness Matters. In regards to the 99, we have at number 1, Mistrise Village, 161,000 decks. Next up, number 2, Voice of Victory at 124,000 dex. It's the mono white.
It's like Grand Abolisher.
It's like Grand Abolisher, yeah. And number 3 is Elspeth Stormslayer at 90,000. I think, Guy, you can probably explain that one best.
I mean, it's so fucking good, man. It's like a anointed procession on a commander. Not a commander, on a planeswalker.
Oh, it's the token multiplier.
Yeah.
It's the token multiplier on a commander.
It's so good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think there's ever been a time where I've cast that and been like, man, this card sucks. So
yeah,
good.
Turns out Planeswalkers with static abilities a lot more playable in Commander, generally speaking. Next up, we have Nature's Rhythm at 72,000 dex. That's the creature tutor in green that also has, what is it? Harmonize, which is like pseudo convoke.
It's
so pretty strong.
Convoke plus flashback.
That's what it is. So it's like you tutor and then tutor again. It's kind of like tooth and nail. And then there's also Herd Heirloom at 65,000 dex. I'm trying to remember what that one does.
I totally feel like we missed out on this one. Herd Heirloom is a 1 in a green. Trying to find it real quick. There it is. It's an artifact. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. Tap until end of turn.
Yes.
Target creature you control power 4 or greater gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So definitely pretty good.
Okay, so I remember this.
Green
so
decks.
it's an artifact that like makes mana for for creatures, and it also like draws you cards if you deal damage with those creatures. I think the reason I didn't include this was because I'm like, oh well, it's an artifact. Playing this, you probably are like playing all artifacts, whereas like if you're playing a creature deck where this is going to trigger Herd Heirloom, you might as well just play like creatures that draw you cards and creatures that make you mana. But apparently I was fucking wrong.
Yeah.
We also had notable reprints, which I don't think in the last set we talked about reprints, but this one did have notable reprints. The ones in mention are Craterhoof Behemoth with, I believe, new art. And whether you feel good or negative about Craterhoof Behemoth, regardless, it got a reprint and now it's more affordable. But I think everybody is pretty happy with a reprint of the enemy fetch lands.
Yes, so these were included as the special guests, meaning they didn't show up at a high frequency, but they still showed up in a lot of packs, and especially like the normal booster packs, so you could open them at a, somewhat okay frequency. It just feels nice that, again, it feels like every other year we get like these fetchland reprints, which keeps them within obtainable grasp. Like, no longer will we ever see Scalding Tarn be $100 card.
Honestly, so like, yeah, I think the reprint of the enemy fetch lands in the grand scheme of the year is huge, because if you're a commander player, you probably want all the fetch lands at some point in your commander journey.
Yes, I think they're the best lands you could get.
So like, if you're not proxying, it's kind of rough to like buy them, and so like with these reprints, like, this is really helpful. This is really great. So with all those cards being said, Guy, what were your top 3 of Commanders and 99 cards? How'd we do?
Well,
were we on the mark, or were we completely dumb, shit, stupid, and far off the mark?
Alright, so we were 9 and 8 at the end of Aetherdrift. Going into this set, I said top 3 commanders were going to be, my number 1 was Baator from the main set. Number 2 would have been Taval from the commander decks. And number 3 would have been Ureni from the commander decks. So I only got Taval and Ureni.
You were pretty spot on. Like, you knew that like commander dragons were relevant.
Oh yes, I was smart. You, on the other hand, but it's okay, Blake, because, well, you'll see why. But so commander-wise, you said Eshki, Teemer's Roar. You also said Baator, Ancestor's Voice, and then you said Taval, the Balance Scale. So you only get 1 point there. 99 card.
At least we both knew that Taval was going to be, like, good.
Oh, yeah. This was the one commander deck that I bought, and it's pretty good. Like, I remember playing some games with my brother and his girlfriend. Both of them bought other commander decks from Tarkir, and Taval just easily so strong, so good. 99 cards, so I said Mist Rise was going to be the number 1, number 2 would have been Baron Step Siege, and then number 3 would have been Voice of Victory. Here I get 3 points for Mist Rise and only 1 point for Voice of Victory, so that puts me at a total of 16 points. You said Dracogenesis was going to be the number 1 card, which, cool, fair enough, like dragons, and this was like a rooftop storm type dragon effect, so like not a terrible pick, but like really only good for dragon decks. Your number 2 was Mist Rise, and number 3 was Voice of Victory, so you do get 3 points there.
Yeah, I think my mistake was like comparing dragons to zombies, where, you know, in zombie typal decks like Rooftop Storm and like a few other cards, like you can do infinite loops, whereas with Dracogenesis, making all of your dragons free, like with dragons, I think there might be like one infinite combo, but mostly there's no infinite combos. It's just you're casting big beefy things that are so strong at high mana values you can't lose, so it's not quite the same. And I think that's why Dracogenesis was, I took a gamble on it and I lost. It wasn't as good as I thought.
I mean, I think, you know, it wasn't the worst line of thinking. I do also think just the other thing is like Dracogenesis is what, like 8 or 9 mana? At that point, why aren't you playing Omniscience instead, you know? So
just play Omniscience.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on this set in general?
Oh, this set rocks. Dude, it's fucking dragons.
Yeah.
So, like, how can you not like dragons? Besides the dragons, everybody got to see Fetch Lands reprints, which was really important. People also got to see, like, Flurry, which isn't as, like, busted as Prowess, but it kind of referenced, and I know, like, Monastery Mentor was a card, and they kind of introduced, what is it, Quarry Steelcutter, which ended up being busted in Standard because it's an equipment that like makes the creatures to then attach the Quarry Steelcutter to. That's going in my Aurelia deck. Foreshadowing for later. And then, yeah, they just had keyword mechanics that overall were like pretty good. Like maybe not omens, but like Endure, Flurry, Mobilize was very good. Like Mobilize with token generation, Harmonize, which is, I know it's sort of a running joke, but it's basically like flashback. When everything's like flashback or a kicker, I think that's the joke. Everything's basically a kicker. So I don't know. I don't think there were any like obvious like downsides to this set. And I think that's why it did so well.
I agree. I think this is, to me, the most traditional Magic set that we've gotten.
And it's fucking dragons.
Right.
How do you fuck up dragons? Dragons are like pinnacle high fantasy.
Yeah, so you have kind of a winning combo here. Dragons, traditional Magic. It had 5 commander decks, which is the most we get to see with any set this year. So it felt like it was like set up for success. Like there was no way that this was going to fail, and with it also being a beloved plane that we were returning to, yeah, this was a home run set in my opinion.
Do you have any other comments before I move on to the next Universes Within set?
No more comments. I will say that, so after Tarkir, we do go to the Final Fantasy set. Like we said, though, we will spend a little time talking about that kind of after talking about the Universes Within set. So it's not like we get it was like half at the beginning, half at the end of the year, but so there is a break in between the Tarkir set and this next set, that being Edge of Eternity. So Edge of Eternity.
So talk about
yeah.
it. Tell us about the set.
So this is the space opera set. This is kind of almost like Unfinity, but like an actual Magic set. It takes place in what they call the most outer reaches of the multiverse. So if you imagine the multiverse as an orange, and the universes that are like Zendikar, Innistrad, Arcavios, Dominaria, those are the slices of the orange. And this plane takes place on the peel of the orange. And I think that's a great way to describe this. So that's how you have to kind of imagine this. But we get 2 commander decks. So kind of what we got with Aetherdrift. We got the warp mechanic. We got the void mechanic. And landfall makes a return, which was kind of surprising, but makes sense in a way because touching down on planets, that's, you know, pretty space and cool. But yeah, so this is like Magic's take on a space opera set.
I think that's a pretty good description.
Thank you.
I think you're spot on.
Thank you. Okay, so we got 22 new commanders. Actually, before we even get into those commanders, I almost forgot to kind of talk about the thing that you already kind of spoiled, but I'll talk about it right now. We got the introduction of spacecrafts, which were a new vehicle type, in a way. They're not vehicles, they're spacecrafts, but these were cards that could be turned into... So they were artifacts that could be turned into creatures, very much like vehicles, but they required you to tap creatures to put a number of counters onto them, and then once they reached a certain point, they became a creature. Within the commander decks, the backup commanders were spacecrafts, and this is when they announced that going forward, a legendary vehicle or a legendary spacecraft could be your commander. So, this opened up quite a lot more for Aetherdrift, which, like we mentioned, had several new legendary vehicles and some legendary spacecrafts and Edges of Eternities.
Yeah, and do keep in mind this decision was made with like the newly formed Commander Format Panel, CFP, I believe, where that's controlled by Wizards of the Coast. As of, I believe, 2024, like the RC, the Rules Committee, has like dissolved, especially after the death of Sheldon Menery, and so now the Commander format is like fully in the control of Wizards of the Coast, and this is one of, I don't want to say major, but it's a notable decision made by that new collective.
Yeah, yes, that is a good point to make, because previously only Shorikai could be a vehicle and your commander, because it has special lines of rules text, but they just said...
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that's true.
So it's like, okay, now any vehicle that's legendary can be your commander. I mean, do we want to talk about that right now real quick and just kind of our thoughts on this new ruling? Or do we want to save that for...
Sure, let's talk about that specifically, just because we're kind of on the topic already.
Yeah, okay. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are it's fine because it doesn't... Mostly because it doesn't drastically introduce a whole bunch of cards that are going to warp the format. That's what I care about the most. And so, because it's not going to like retroactively like change a whole bunch of cards from the past to like now be instant staples or broken commanders or broken 99 cards, and now that the rule is established, Wizards of the Coast can make cards accommodating that rule. Like, I'm fine with it. That's where I stand. How about you?
Yeah, I think if you look at the vehicles prior to them announcing this, like, none of them have ever been a concern, whether they were in the 99 or if they had been your commanders.
And even then, I've it's not like I've seen a huge explosion of like, I'm at a local game store, LGS, and I sit down with a pod and someone's like, oh, I'm playing such and such
The Titanic
vehicle deck. Yeah, and I'm like, oh no, this new busted bullshit. Like, I might as well like just say no to this game and just move on to another pod. Like, that's not happening. And so because that's not happening, I'm like, yeah, the rule is fine. Like, nobody's in crisis. It's not like warping the format in an unhealthy manner. It's fine. Like, and there were already so many kitchen table players that were already playing these cards as commanders, and they basically were quote unquote rule zeroing these cards as commanders. Now it just makes their life easier, and it's like, sure, like there's no real harm to it. I don't know a single person who's like, this is a bad thing. Nobody I take seriously.
Yeah, I have not seen anyone say anything like super negative on this. I think the only thing that I think is kind of like funny about this is just like a lot of people have been like, what about planeswalkers? No, not planeswalkers, but we'll let your vehicles be commanders, which
Okay.
it's just
Yeah,
funny.
that
I don't know.
that would be different.
Yeah.
And like, if you want that, I have good news for you. There's this like lesser known format called Oathbreaker, where like your planeswalker of any variety can be your commander. Look into Oathbreaker. Like, it's kind of a cool little
It's a little
format.
niche.
Some people somewhat know about, and some people don't.
Yeah.
Like, it's honestly kind of cool. Look into it.
Yeah, so I just thought that
That's
was
my
kind of
answer.
like funny, and yes, I agree. There is a different place for that. So, all right, so we talked about spacecrafts. They could be your commander. Vehicles can be your commander. So we got 22 new commanders. The top one was Hearthol, the World Seed, which had 14,503 decks. Number 2 was Ragos, Deaf Gastronaut, 10,945 decks. Kilo, Apego Mind, 9,726 decks. Inspirit, Flagship Vessel, 6,386 decks. And then Tanuk, Steadfast Second, 6,067 decks. In terms of the 99 cards, we got Ice Till Explorer, 79,000 decks. Terra Symbiosis, 61,000 decks. Avendo, Waking Haven, 54,000 decks. Tezzeret, Cruel Captain, 49,000 decks. And Yuthros, Titanic Godcore, 44,000 decks. Notably, the Shocklands did get reprinted in this set. Not all 10, but 5 of them. I don't know off the top of my head which 5, but we do know that in Lorwyn, which is the first set that will be coming out for 2026, the other 5 will come out. So it does mean that we get Shockland reprints, which, hey, we don't have to go back to Ravnica to get Shockland reprints. That's pretty cool.
Which is great.
Yes.
Yeah, honestly.
I do appreciate the fact that they have been like, hey, the names are vague enough that they don't have to be Ravnica specific, so let's reprint them here. And it's like, cool. It's also a little funny that the last time we got Shockland reprints was Unfinity, which was in space. And then we also had to go back to space to get more Shockland reprints.
Yeah, we might talk about that later.
Okay. So, anyway, in terms of our scoring system, Blake, you kind of killed it with the top 3 commanders. You said Ragos, Deaf Gastronaut would be in top 5. You were correct. Tanook, Steadfast, second. Correct. And Hearthol, the World Seed. You got all 3. So that is a good 6 points for you. Me? Not so much. I said this, and I think you can go back to the episode and listen to this. I was like, I don't know.
You
about
had some
this.
doubt in your voice?
I had a lot of doubt. I only got Ragos, Deaf Gastronaut. Going to the 99, you said Sophera the Super Void, your number 1, and that was also my number 1. Neither of us were correct.
You were both wrong.
Yep.
We're fucking dumb.
Well, you said Ice Till Explorer, which obviously that should have been the most picked card. It's so good. I didn't pick that in my top 99. And then I said Timeline Color and Exalted Shepherd. And you said Exalted Sunborn. So, you know, you came out on top by 1 point by the end of the year. So, good job. How does it feel
that's
to
all
be
I wanted to hear.
just a little bit smarter?
Na 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 na. It feels like the last 2 brain cells competing to be the last survivor. That's how it feels.
Yeah, I mean, I totally blew it on this set. I had a good lead, and then I was just like, let me pick 3 cards in the 99 that no one's gonna fucking care about.
Yeah, because like despite the cute rivalry we have, this learning exercise that we've done throughout the whole year, what's taught me is that like you have to be like really critical in order to like predict like what's going to be the top 3 or top 5 commanders of a set, or top 3 or 5 commander or 99 cards of a set. Sometimes like you can get a feel for what people are saying online, but that does change over the course of 9 months. Where like, oh, people were really hyped about this at the beginning, but like clearly over time, people are not hyped about this in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting where like, I think you and I made our predictions based on what we were hearing on social media and trying to like we avoided looking at EDH rec. We ultimately used EDH rec as the final numbers, obviously, because that's the only sort of metric we have. But it's interesting to like initially hear what's on social media, try our best to make predictions based on what we understand of the game and what the player base is saying in our limited perspective, and still being like, all right, some of these were hits, some of these are misses, and this little exercise has been very informative, at least to me.
Yeah, I think this has been a good exercise for us, because I think now going into 2026, we certainly will be able to maybe predict better. I think it was really interesting that we like picked some of the like key cards from the set, thinking like, oh, people are gonna love this, like the Aether Spark, Sophera, the Super Void. But those cards didn't.
Like, do we want to talk about?
Do
we want to talk about the Aether Spark? Like, we both thought like, all right, this is a card that like WotC has tried to hype up as like the artifact of the set. Like, oftentimes they create MacGuffins for sets, and like we truly thought they were. It would at least be in the top 5, like especially given the number of equipment-focused decks, which the Aether Spark clearly wants to be in because it gives both card advantage and mana for equipment decks. But even so, it didn't make the cut. It was only top 6. It did not make top 5.
I'm saving my talk for the Aether Spark till we talk about the 99 cards of the year. because to me.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, this has just been an interesting exercise for us, and I think will, again, help us shape our guesses for the next year, and years to come. So yeah, I do think this is actually super funny, too. But I said Exalted Shepherd was going to be my number 3, which is a 5-mana angel that can warp in for 2 to either find a basic land or a basic or a mana value creature with 1. That card ended up being more popular than Sophera the Super Void. Like, I was just like,
that's wild.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, cool that I was able to, like, kind of think...
predict that, but, like, not in the way that I expected.
Yeah, but it's still not even, like... I think they were, like, 15 and 16. Like, they weren't even, like, close to being top 5. I was like, huh. I guess cool. So, it really just kind of goes to show, like, some of these cards, like... might be a little hard to predict. And that's why I'm going to say I lost.
Yeah, to be fair, I do remember recording that episode on Edge of Eternities, and you were not as certain about the cards. Like, I feel like in the other universes within sets, you were more confident about your choices, and it was neck and neck. And then I truly do feel like it wasn't until Edge of Eternities that I felt somewhat confident in my choices, and you did not seem very confident in your choices.
And
I think that's what
I mean,
changed.
you came out with what, 6, 8 more points than me, and I totally lost it. So good job. Thoughts on?
Let's shift. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what are your thoughts on the set before we kind of move in a little to talk about, like, the Universes Beyond stuff?
Let's see, space opera set. Like, it's honestly kind of cool. It was also like, all right, aren't we like planeswalkers? Aren't we interdimensional travelers? Like, so we're already sort of used to like. It was interesting. We're like, all right, we're already sort of like spatial travelers between like planets and planes, but like this way, it's more like, oh, you're an astronaut, or somebody from Star Trek, and like you have to like do like light speed stuff around like dark holes or interstellar, these sort of things in pop media to like justify how you're getting from like plane to plane. And it was also interesting hearing their explanations of the edge of space, given that Magic already has the like quote unquote edge of eternities, and going back to like what you said, Guy, where it's like, oh, here's an orange and we're on the skin of an orange, the peel of an orange, and it's just sort of interesting to like hear their justifications and trying to make like a space set in a card game that already has interdimensional travel.
Interesting. I mean, I definitely see where you're coming from, because like I guess at least for me, I thought it was kind of an interesting take, because we get to see kind of the in-between of the planes that we travel between for each set. So to me, like, it was kind of cool as like, hey, this is where, we can have kind of, again, another gumbo melting pot of multiple planes as sets that kind of like come together. Like, to me, that was also what was interesting about this set, similar to what like Aetherdrift got to do. But I see what you're saying. So I mean, I personally like the set. I think it is kind of cool to see Magic do a more serious space opera type set. I don't know if I would want to come back here anytime soon, though.
Yeah, that was my next thing, where I'm like, especially at this point in time, after like 30 years of Magic, I do begin to ask the correct question of what is the repeatability of sets? Like, what is the design space in which you can return to a set?
That's a fair question.
And so, in 20 years, are we going to be able to return to Edge of Eternity's sort of game space where it's intergalactic travel and the same like factions or like evolutions of those factions? I don't know. I think that's a question that some people know who are very into the lore, and I feel like that's a key element on people who do care about the lore more than I say the two of us do. But as long as you can make like a good set that like can sell well and like makes sense, that it's like evolving the characters and or the planes and the world, like it'll be fine.
It will be interesting to see if we do return to this. I mean, it was popular enough where I think WotC could justify monetarily this is worth us coming back to. So maybe in 5-6 years, given, half of the sets now are Universes Beyond, maybe we'll come back. Maybe it'll take 10 years. I don't know.
In the meantime, Guy, we're now an hour in. We've been talking about universes within sets, and we've kind of been ignoring the other side of the coin. Do we want to address Universes Beyond and what's happened this year in 2025?
Yeah, so talking about Universes Beyond, we're not going to talk about the top 5 commanders, top 5 99 cards for each of these sets. We're just going to kind of do a general overview and then kind of talk about some of like the good and the bad things before then we go into the top cards of the year. So we had 3 Universes Beyond sets. We had the Final Fantasy set, which has been a set that we've talked or has been known about for quite some time. We had our first Marvel set, which was SpiderMan. And then we ended the year with Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, Blake, feel free to add any of points in what I'm about to say, but like some of the bad things in general.
Okay.
I'll
try to be fair.
Yeah, when talking about Universes Beyond, some of the bad things that I think we agree on is that sometimes if you just have no interest in a set, I mean, a big one was Spider-Man, you just have no interest in what's going on in Magic right now. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Were you going to say something?
It was kind of funny where, like, I feel like the average person that doesn't even know about Marvel or DC characters, like, may have heard of Spider-Man, and they've heard, like, oh, Spider-Man's at least the relatable one.
What do you mean?
What I mean is, like, even if they don't know about, like, the Fantastic Four or Superman, which Superman's probably the one that they're very familiar with, but, like, I feel like everybody who knows about, like, Spider-Man, it's like, oh, it's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man's supposed to be, like, one of the few superheroes you know about that you like.
Yeah.
And even then, it was not well received because of a lot of reasons.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it was a smaller set than some of the others that we'd seen. I do think also just Spider-Typal is kind of a weak point to... Because, like, the people who were, like, into the Spider decks... This was their year, man. Like, they got so much support.
I mean, I think that's one of the points is, like, beforehand, like, Spider cards up till this point were, like, this small typal synergy, and, like, then the Spider set, like, completely doubled it and almost, like, in a way, changed its identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, especially, like, when and not to get into another subject, but like especially when there was the like cosmic Spider-Man or whatever, where it's like, well, we have to have a 5-color Spider-Man card that cares about spider typal cards, and so it's like, wow, this is just like so generic, so far-reaching, and I get why they did it, but it's also like, wow, like, I guess you kind of got the low-hanging fruit, for lack of a better term. People just weren't for it.
Yeah, it did feel a little weird. To keep going, we did have some pretty powerful cards that were printed within Universes Beyond. There's no clear indication or answer from WotC at the time on how cards like this will be reprinted in the future, which we'll talk about kind of a little bit later more. And then also just, it certainly feels like the most new commanders are coming from a Universes Beyond set. Now, to some degree, that's not the worst, because I know a lot of people were like, there's too many legendary creatures in like our universes within sets, and it's like, yeah, WotC's designing for a commander, but there were just so many this year that I was like, oh my god, like the Final Fantasy, I feel like, had over 100 plus new commanders that you could build from. Do you want to say anything more before I talk about like some of the good points, or?
Yeah, at least like for the Spider-Man specifically, it was very interesting to see like the like Spider-Man versions, and then also the in-universe versions,
right?
Like, because obviously, like, it all comes down to licensing. It all comes down to WotC like asking permission to like design certain types of cards to be with like within universe, and also just straight up use the IP, and then the existing company who owns the IP to be like, well, we have our own card game with our own restrictions and our own licensing, so it just made for this super clunky, super awkward thing that I don't think anybody really wanted. Like, when I think of a Spider-Man Universes Beyond set, I honestly do think it should be a lot of fun, and I do think it's very whimsical, and I think it can be like a great potential Universes Beyond product. But whatever happened here with licensing agreements and like trying to convert certain types over to the other, like the Green Goblin ended up being like a goblin villain, with also like flying, so like the magic within thing looks so fucking stupid. I wanted to kill it.
Are you talking about Fleam, the real magic mascot?
Yeah. That thing's so stupid.
Wow, I can't believe you're saying this, considering like how popular Fleam is.
I hate him.
Wow, Blake's true feelings come out.
I'm the real Joker.
That's an entirely different comics universe. Oh my god.
Just wait another year. They're gonna do it in another Universes Beyond product.
All right.
Mark my words.
I don't think. I mean, it's certainly not out of the question. Okay. So, all right. I mean, I think you have a lot of good points there. I'm gonna talk about some of the like because I didn't want to be like super just negative about Universes Beyond. There are some good things, because like even if you had no interest in some of these sets, it does allow you to take a break from Magic, you know? Like, I feel like you probably feel this more than I did, because like you just like, hey, Universes Beyond, I'm out. So you get to kind of like take a break and, you know, worry about other things in the real world. There are some new powerful cards that are pretty unique that may not have been printed otherwise because they were based around certain properties. A few of those we'll mention later. There is a less number of legendary creatures in our Universes Within sets, which that gives us some breathing room, especially when we talk about like our reviews. Personally, for me, one of the good things was Final Fantasy was good enough to get my brother back into the game, and he's been playing and even been keeping up with like the Universes Within sets, so that's pretty cool. And then the last thing that I wrote was that just the story of Universes Within for Magic has been apparently pretty good. Just being able to have more breathing room between sets has allowed them to kind of like flesh it out more. And I hear that it's been going very well the last couple sets.
Yeah, those points I will give you credit for. It's like a lot of things in life where it's kind of a give and take. Like, I really, at this point, I personally do not care about half the sets of Magic. And in theory, that means the half sets of Magic that I do care about are of higher quality.
Mm-hmm.
At least in a vacuum. Yeah, like you said, the lore writers have more time to care about the Universes Within lore. And I think in another way, it also sort of makes me feel like a newer player where I only care about the Universes Within sets. And so I go to LGSs or I go to conventions and I'm like, I have no idea what Aang the Airbender does or what Toph the Earthbender does. I have no idea what Spooderman Peter Parker does. And so, like, in a way, it's like, okay, I will read your commander as we first sit down, try to guess what you're going to do, and like have a bit of a pregame discussion and a bracket discussion. And based on that, hopefully have a good game. And it's sort of fun where it's like, it reminds me of like early EDH where it was difficult to know what everything did, so you had to like use your imagination to predict what was going to happen. And even then, like, you oftentimes couldn't predict what was going to happen. And you know, over the last couple of years, I've been like, all right, I have all the resources and all the information. I know what pretty much every single commander does. So whenever I go to LGSs or conventions, I know what's going to happen. And now it's sort of reverted back to that, where I'm like, I don't pay attention to Universes Beyond. So if anybody plays Universes Beyond Commander, I'm like, all right, let me read the text box. Based on my previous experience, let me try to guess what's going to happen. Bracket discussion, and then play a game. And it's sort of like, oh, I was either right or I was wrong. And it gives a bit more... yeah, it gives a bit more like unpredictability in, I'll say, a positive way.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it'll just kind of be interesting to see next year what your take is also after another more than half of the universes, or the sets being Universes Beyond. Because this is only the first year, so
yeah,
got quite a lot to come.
Yeah. I mean, it will be interesting. I think it really does depend on your personal life, whether you're like, oh, I have my entire personal life to devote to Magic, then you're probably going to be bored. Whereas I think Guy, you and me, were like, we have some free time, but we're also like trying to form our careers. We're also trying to form like new friend groups where communities, and so we don't really necessarily mind. We're like, half the time we don't care about Magic.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about Universes Within, we've talked about Universes Beyond. Now we're kind of talking about the standout cards from all that being talked about, we're covering 6 sets, 13 precons, and 465 new commanders, which is a whole lot. And, we're biased, so, we have a few commander nominees. Number 1 would be Ragost Deft Gastronaut, the Boros Lobster. We have Hashatan, notably the only one that has a CDH deck, the Esper Crocodile Zombie dude. Then we have Ketramos, the white, black, Exile Matters, Amonkhet God. Then we have Sephiroth, I believe he's like a black angel, at least on one of the sides.
He's a black angel on one of the sides, but he's like an Aristocats mono black commander.
On the other. Thank you. Yeah, doesn't he get an emblem?
He does.
Yeah, which is fun. Which is funny because he's not a planeswalker.
He's the second creature to grant an emblem.
I thought so. I thought that was one of the unique things about Sephiroth. You and I have played against your brother's Sephiroth deck, and we're just oh, if X, Y, and Z happens, we're just dead because he's got the emblem online, and we're gonna die.
Yeah, it's certainly a card. It's a good card.
Yeah, it's a good card. Yeah, which makes sense because, Final Fantasy franchise is very popular, especially the Sephiroth character. So it kind of makes sense that they gave him at least a good effect, which I'm not opposed to. I'm all right. At least you didn't give some know-nothing character a broken ability. Foreshadowing for later. And then we also have Firelord Azula from the Avatar: The Last Airbender franchise. That is, Guy, correct if I'm wrong, but I believe is blue, red, black. So
yeah,
it's
Grixis
commander, which can be pretty powerful. Then we also have Otis, the Fang Keeper, Tival, the Balance Scale, and Vivi Ornitier as some of the top commander nominees.
Yeah.
Before you choose, we're also going to talk about the 99 main deck nominees. So we have the Aether Spark, Verge Lands, Ice Till Explorer, Exploration Broodship, Badgermole Cub, Nature's Rhythm, Mon Chi Tong, and Station Lands. Except for
it does. It's really bad.
Which is just yeah, so talk about Station Lands. The green one is basically Gaia's Cradle. That's great. The blue one is basically Telerian Academy.
Yep.
Where you tap for the blue mana. And that one's also very good because you can somewhat reasonably make artifacts creature tokens and then be able to tap for power to unlock that ability. I was really disappointed that the white one was not a Serra Sanctum. Super disappointed. Come on, the coast. Let me have my fun.
I forget what the black one does.
I think the black one is similar to a Volgroth's Wrath, where it recurs a creature from grave to top of life.
Okay.
Which is actually kind of okay. So in my opinion, green is the strongest, then blue. Green just because you already have creatures that can tap for the power to activate the land. Blue because you need to go through the additional step of potentially turning whatever artifacts you have into creatures. Potentially, sometimes they already are creatures, and then you can activate for the number of artifacts. And then it's black because sending a creature from grave to top of the deck is powerful. And then the white where it does something, but it's for a super inefficient rate, and then the red one where it's just ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first, commanders. Let's, on a count of 3, let's each say who we think is best of, and we'll see how close we are. Alright?
Alright.
3, 2, 1, VV.
Taval the balanced scale.
Alright. So, we did not say the same thing.
Surprise, surprise. People disagree on things.
Why do you say Taval?
I say Taval because I'm biased. I like universes with unsets, so that's my bias. I also say Taval the balanced scale because it's a dragon. And when I think of high fantasy, like Magic the Gathering is, I think of dragons. Or angels, or goblins, or some other high fantasy creature.
I mean, I think those are very good reasons. Like, I think if I did not take into account, like, universes beyond sets, I think I would have also said Taval. It's a good dragon. It's also a dragon that doesn't necessarily care about dragons, which is nice, because I feel like some of the best dragons do tend to care about dragons, but it's cool to have a dragon that cares about other things. So I don't think that's a bad answer.
Yeah. I like all of my responses, but I also agree that Taval the balanced scale is probably not the correct answer, because it's probably not the most popular, because what's most popular is separate from my own thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think VV has been undoubtedly one of the most broken Magic cards they've printed in a while. Just, it can deal damage, make itself bigger, add mana. It's a good card. It's quite good.
We will talk about that later.
It's not that expensive. Yeah. It's not that expensive in terms of mana cost. It is a pricey Magic card otherwise.
So what was your answer?
VV.
Your answer was VV? Alright,
yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty good answer in terms of it being a universes beyond character that's within Final Fantasy, which is like one of the most popular franchises in the world. And then it's also one of the strongest Magic Commander cards, and Commander is one of the most popular formats of Magic. I feel like that's a very fair and like smart answer. I think you're probably
Thank you.
I think you're probably more correct than I am in terms of Commander nominees for 2025, technically.
Thank you. Let's do 99. So 3, 2, 1. We'll each say best 99 card in our opinions.
All right? I'm ready. Yep.
So 3,
2, 1. I still explore.
All right. Again, different answers. So why do you say Ice Till Explorer?
So I give Ice Till Explorer because it is a relatively easy to cast creature. It allows you to play additional land drops. Like, I know within recent time, people have talked about how Azusa is not that great because oftentimes you can't play 2 additional lands because you don't have the additional card draw. But at least with 1 additional land per turn, you can often meet that in a high velocity card drawing deck, which Ice Till meets. Ice Till is also that plus a Crucible of Worlds, which is just a pinnacle great card to play. Like, if you've played a few lands within the first 3 turns, like it can allow you to like play fetch land turn after turn, where it's like as long as you've made it past turn 3, you're guaranteed to make a land drop every turn. And then again, it doubles on itself for playing an additional land. So it feeds on that regard. And then not every deck, but a lot of decks will benefit from the mill ability on top of that. So it not only does like one good thing, it not only does 2 good things, but it does like 2.5 good things all on one card, which are easy to cast. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I think like how you said Taval was the top commander from the picks, like I think everything you said was certainly reasonable as to like why that would be the top pick, and you know, it is kind of close for me. The only reason why I picked the Aetherdrift is because, one, it's certainly a very unique card. It's our first artifact planeswalker equipment. It was a big point in the set, and with it being colorless, it's just so novel that it can go in so many decks. And it kind of does everything. It can make your commander bigger, it can draw you cards, it can get you mana. It has protection built into it as long as it's attached to something, which is pretty nice. It's just a unique and fun card in my opinion.
Oh, I totally get that. Where like the creature type on this is incredibly unique. It does as a planeswalker technically, like it also has the unique ability of attaching, and then in an artifact equipment deck, you oftentimes want help drawing cards and adding mana, and so most decks do, and so I can totally understand that.
Yeah, I feel like at the beginning of the year I wasn't like super high on the card, but I've gotten to play with it, especially in like my Wandering Rescuer deck, and in certainly the right deck, this is kind of crazy just because it's like attach it to a commander, and if that commander has like double strike, this is going to be able to like net you mana next turn, and it's not going to go away. Like the ult is not that hard to get to.
Yeah, it's pretty insane in terms of like the way one permanent type quote unquote transforms into another permanent type, where like it's the card draw and the mana production are inevitable as once they get onto a creature. And like I put the Aether Spark in my Aurelia deck, and that's arriving in a few days, and like I'm totally expecting that to like help make the deck more broken. So now that we've talked about universes within, we've talked about the universes beyond, can we talk about the more minute subjects, such as, I don't know, like maybe more a lighthearted subject? Can we talk about like the best artwork?
Yes. What were some of your favorite artworks on cards you saw this year?
This is probably the most difficult parts of writing the notes for this, because oh man, I don't know about you, but I couldn't decide on one. I had to choose between 2, and I would love to explain why I chose between 2. So, best artwork. Can we, for just a moment, look at, and we'll probably put it up on screen for you listeners, Mox Jasper by Stephen Belladin. Now, at first, you'll probably look at this and be like, oh, this is like Vulcan Baga, But no, it's not Volkenbaga. It's by Steven. And like, have you ever?
Steven.
I mean, have you? Okay, Guy, you're gonna have to help me out in this section. But like, have you ever looked at hands? Have you ever determined how difficult it is to draw hands? Have you ever determined how difficult it is to draw hands with a gemstone, with a beautiful cord, and like the fur sleeves of the plane? Like, this is beautiful. Like, I challenge anyone listening to draw hands and then look at this and then be like, oh, I did better than him. No, you didn't. Shut the fuck up.
No, hands are one of the most difficult things to paint, draw, recreate in any kind of like art form. It's certainly not easy. I was actually also kind of surprised, and I'm glad you brought it up, because you were like, oh, this is by Volkan Baga, who has been pretty famous for doing some of the mocks, like the more modern mocks.
Yeah.
Paintings where
No.
They've had like...
Go on Scryfall. Alright, listen to me. Go on Scryfall. Like, type in Mox, M-O-X, and then scroll down. Like, you go to Chrome Mox. There's Volkenbaga for Chrome Mox. Then, there's Mox Amber, which Steven did again, because Steven's great. Then there's Mox Diamond, but go to the specific Mox Diamond that Volkenbaga did. And then go to, like, Mox Emerald, which Volkenbaga did for the online version only. The Mox Jet, which Volkenbaga did for online only. Go to Mox Opal, Mox Pearl, Mox Ruby, Mox Sapphire. Like maybe aside from like Mox Tantalite, which Ryan did. Like, this is like, how do I explain this to you? Hands are so hard to do in art, and I'm not even an artist. Back me up here, guy.
No, I mean, I know how hard hands are, and you say like type in Mox in Scryfall. I'm already there. I did this before you. Like, once you started typing, I was like, oh, let me like look this up real quick, because I did want to like see it. But like, yeah, this is quite difficult. And I'm looking at all of them right now. It really is something beautiful to see, and I do agree that like Steven does a good job of like kind of recreating like Volkan Baga's like style that he has for these types of cards.
So now that we've established how difficult hands are, I would like to shift our perspective to my other choice, which I'm sorry I couldn't choose one, but there's Sathera the Super Void, which I know, listeners. Guy and I were wrong. Sathera the Super Void was not the like top 3 card that we thought it was going to be per set. However, from an art perspective, it's still amazing. Like trying to create symmetry from non-symmetry is so fucking hard. And so I know Sathera the Super Void has, at least in terms of recording, has like 4 different arts, but just look at like the original or pre-release versions, and like that's so difficult to make. That's so difficult to make that level of symmetry, but also like balance in such a small frame, and I love it.
Yeah, I do think that this art is also pretty cool. You're talking about the like standard art, right?
Yeah,
because
well,
it had,
to clarify, we're talking about the Sathera the Super Void art by Dominic Mayer. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Like
yeah.
the standard one, not like the Japanese one or the like extra hyper super mica hue and
not to take anything away from those, but it really is, in my opinion, very difficult to create like symmetrical artwork that's not symmetrical and still have it look great, because it's not symmetrical. It's not trying to be, but at the same time it's also trying to appear balanced and all-encompassing.
No, I agree.
Like a black hole is supposed to be.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So those are my two answers. I couldn't decide between the Super Void, Black Hole, and the hands of Mox Jasper.
It's funny that those are your answers, because then my answers are also from the same sets. So, like, you said Mox Jasper from Dragonstorm Tarkir.
Yeah.
I said Stormscale Scion. I think I just picked this because I was like, this is so dragon. Like, this, I think it might be also a little biased considering how much I like that specific card. But I was just like, oh, this is a really cool card to see. And then Exalted Sunborn, which also was just such a cool angel. I really enjoyed that.
I mean, to be fair, Exalted Sunborn was like in like I think my top 5 arts for the set. I think the only reason I didn't choose it was because like the magic frame didn't show everything, therefore you didn't get to see everything, which is its own discussion in its own right, where like the magic frame limits you inherently. But like Exalted Sunborn was I think in my top 5.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
I mean, Scott Fisher has done a lot of cards for Magic before, and like some very notable ones. I feel like one of the cards you might know him best for is like one of his like Dark Confidants. It's the one with like the chair. That I feel like that one's pretty notable. He's also done like Kalia. He's done quite a bit. He did a lot of angels for the angel deck that came out last year. So he's definitely a pretty cool artist.
Like I think Ron Spencer did the true original Dark Confidant, where it's reminiscent of the world champion, but like then it was Scott M. Fisher's version of Dark Confidant, where it's like a figure holding a crown and his ring finger next to a...
Yes. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of.
And then all the rest of the arts are inferior. Just saying. No arguable.
Okay.
It's not up for debate. Fuck you. Listeners. Anyways.
So, Blake, how many cards from 2026 are you using in your decks this year?
Oh, fuck. Okay.
And if you could choose one that was the best for yourself, that you're like, of the decks that I play most often, which card do you think has given you the most benefit?
Okay, so I can answer like what cards I'm playing from this year are the easiest. I am playing all the Verge lands because they're a great, powerful cycle of lands. I'm playing Avendo Waking Heaven, which is like the green station land that's basically Gaia's Cradle. I'm also playing Uthros Titanic God Core, which is basically Tolarian Academy. I'm also playing Mistrise Village, which is basically like, oh, one of my spells is uncounterable. So as you can probably tell, like in all those, like lands are very good. Like no matter what commander I build in the future, lands are going to be the foundation. And so over the years, I've really begun to like buy lands and just like at least get lands that I need or want. All right. After that, we do have actual permanents, such as Corey's Steelcutter, because wow, that card can just like come down and make tokens for itself to then attach to. That's kind of broken. Then we have Dragonfire Blade, which which is kind of like sort of X and Y, but not. We also have Windcrag Siege, which is kind of busted in my Aurelia the War Leader deck, where I'm already doing 2 combats. Why not do 3? Then we have the Aether Spark, which again is kind of busted in my Aurelia deck, which cares about equipment, because it's like, wow, what if my equipment costs like nothing? What if I could make mana and draw cards in an equipment deck? Those are some of the downsides. And then what if I just played Selthera the Super Void in my mono black deck, because it turns out that's a pretty good effect. And if it's not good in that deck, it'll probably be good in some other future deck. So those are my answers. If I had to choose the best card, what would it be? I mean, it may be a boring answer, but it would probably be Avendo Waking Heaven, because Gaia's Cradle is a broken land card, and even though I have to like activate it, like it's so easy to activate, it's basically another Gaia's Cradle. I think that's probably my final answer. I'm like, this is too easy.
Okay.
This is basically a second Gaia's Cradle. It's like the small hurdle, the small initial cost is like nothing.
Yeah, I mean that it the second Gaia's Cradle. I do also appreciate that they've printed more effects like that, considering Gaia's Cradle's so expensive now that it's like you can't, unless if you're going to pay the $800, $900 for that card, you don't have that ability. And this kind of makes it a little easier without it being like, I guess, salty, you know?
Yeah, so I hope I didn't spend too much time on my list. Guy, I'm really interested to hear what your list is.
I mean, personally, like the Aether Spark, Exalted Sunborn, Stormscale Scion, Starfield Shepherd, Nature's Rhythm, Famished Worldsire, Icetail Explorer, Badgermole Cub, Sunset Strikes Masters, Elspeth Stormslayer, the Sarima, and then Appa. All of these cards are like pretty notable for additions that I've had to my decks this year. As I was looking over like my mono white list, I have 14 cards from this year alone that I am now playing, which I feel like is also kind of a testament to how well white has been doing in terms of, like 3 years ago we were like, white sucks in EDH, or at least maybe like 6 years ago we were like, white sucks in EDH, and then like 3 years later we're like, it's getting a little better, and now I'm like, white's pretty good. Like white has had a lot of good cards this year.
Well, I
feel like
I agree, but I feel like you should kind of back that up with like why white is getting good, and kind of explain why white's getting better. I agree with you. I just want you to kind of explain.
Oh, I mean, to me it seems like we're getting some pretty good support in terms of like card draw effects with creatures like entering the battlefield, letting you draw a card like once a turn. We've seen some stuff like that. We've seen some stuff with like token doublers, like Elspeth Stormslayer was a big one. We've seen like the Sarima, which was a spacecraft that lets you tutor for like legendary creatures. Like that's pretty good. Yeah, just like cards that are able to like kind of like grant you more board presence in a specific way, or like draw cards by meeting a certain condition, have been like really good. So yeah, that's kind of why White's been getting better. In terms of like best card for me personally, I do think, again, the Aether Spark. I think it's just kind of it's a good card. Like, I don't think I could, like, it's so cool. Again, it's so novel. I'm just like, I don't want to play it in every deck necessarily, but I do think in like the decks where it's like worth playing, it's like broken.
What decks do you think it's broken in?
I mean, any combat heavy decks, like the decks the deck that I'm playing in, like my commander has double strike. +1, make her a 4/5 double strike. Hey, I'm going to deal 8 damage to you, get 8 loyalty counters. Okay, cool. Now I have 15 loyalty counters on me. Boom, easy, -10, add 10 mana. Like, that is not that hard.
I forget that she's technically a planeswalker.
Oh, I mean, she was, yes. The Wanderer.
Yeah, the Wanderer.
Yes, she was a planeswalker. She is no longer a planeswalker. So that's why I again, like, that card's so good. So, okay, we've talked about kind of like our standout cards for the year with like best new commander, best 99, artwork, and what we've done. So we talked about all the sets. Now we're going to kind of talk about a little bit more of like some of the events that have happened throughout this year. So this first one is kind of just like going over again like the rules committee updates, state of the format. This has now shifted from being like the rules committee to being like the WotC and the commander format panel. So at the end of last year, we had the unfortunate issue of people bringing death threats to the rules committee about them banning certain cards. And ultimately, the rules committee went to WotC and gave them control of the format. So this was the first year where they were like, okay, Wizards is in control of the format. They get to now ban cards at their disposal. However, they do have to go through a committee that was kind of appointed by previous people who were from like the CAG. I guess the first big thing that they did was they created the bracket system. This is a 5-tier system that each system kind of like goes over, you know, what their intent of playing a game is like. So one being like, this is like super niche commander with like super broad, weird rules, restrictions around building a deck, whereas 5 is CDH. So they've kind of like outlined the definitions of each of these and put it out into the committee to say like, here's how we would like you to start not politicking, having your pre-game discussions about. So like you would say like, here's how my deck falls within this bracket system. So yeah, that's a pretty long-winded answer. This was at the beginning of the year when they first rolled it out. They also unbanned 5 cards because they felt like some of these cards just didn't really work. Still being on the ban list, the 5 cards they unbanned was Braid's Cabal Minion, Coalition Victory, Gifts Ungiven, Panoptic Mirror, and Sway of the Stars. So these cards came off the ban list and moved over to the Game Changers list. What are the Game Changers? Well, I'm glad you asked. This was a list of cards in addition that you needed to be aware about that said you could only play these at a certain bracket. So at bracket 3, you could have 3 Game Changers on your decks, in your decks. Anything above bracket 3 would be considered a bracket 4, and then CDH bracket 5, you could have as many Game Changers as you want. And I believe when they first rolled out the list of Game Changers, there were like 40 cards. So, that's a lot to talk about. Blake, what are your initial comments about the bracket system?
Initially, I think the bracket system is a very good improvement to the former system by the Rules Committee, where it was either banned or unbanned. Whereas with the bracket system, it sort of allows for up to a certain type of play patterns, then certain cards become unaccessible. And so it's a nice middle ground between black and white, banned or unbanned, versus the more complex system of, like, for example, Canadian Highlander, where each card is pointed a certain amount and you can only play a certain amount of points per deck. And so I feel like the bracket system and Game Changers list is a very elegant system in which to include cards that, like, as you get higher in power level, it's more acceptable. But even so, like, towards a certain extent, even in the highest brackets, there's certain cards that are not acceptable whatsoever. So I like it overall. It's flexed and changed over the year of 2025. Generally speaking, there have been a lot of game changers, and then the list has expanded, and then the list has shrunk, I think. And I'm going to say this now, in 2025, I don't know what the future is going to bring, but as long as the Game Changers list can stay below 100 cards, I think there will be a future for it. If it ever gets above 100 cards, it's too complex, it's too much to keep track of, and it's going to be a failure.
Yeah, I would think that 100 is an extreme number. Like, I'm thinking, like, let's keep it below 50. Which I think it's currently below 50, especially after halfway through the year they removed 10 cards to say, like, okay, we don't think, like, they put out at the beginning of the year a big list, and then they came back and were like, okay, we're gonna remove some cards, and then they removed even a few more. So, like, I want to say, like, the current number of cards on the list, if I do like a quick count, 10, 22, 29, 30, 38, 45, 51. So there's 51 cards currently, which I think that's like a good number.
So next up, we have the October announcements, which talked about basically removing 10 Game Changers. So they each have different reasons. Mostly for high mana value reasons, they removed Expropriate, Jingataxis Core Augur, Sway of the Stars, and Vorinclex Voice of Hunger. They also removed a couple of cards for the fact that they are legends that are only strongest in the command zone, and those being Kinnan Bonder Prodigy, Urza Lord High Artificer, Winota Joiner Forces, Yuriko the Tiger Shadow. Finally, while they don't really fit into any other categories, We would like to remove Deflecting SWAT and Food Chain, noted below. So in total, they removed 10 cards from the Game Changers, which seems about appropriate because in the grand scheme of things, it seems like there weren't very many Game Changers. They included a fuck ton of Game Changers, and now they're kind of shrinking it back down. And I feel like, at least for me, like this is a good number of Game Changers, because I don't know about you guys, but coming from Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like there's basically an artificial like rotation created from like ban lists that's updated every couple of months, and so I don't want that to happen with Magic. I very much do want it to be a mostly stable, healthy format where whatever the Game Changers list it mostly is plus or minus like 3 cards, and then whatever the true hard and fast ban list is, it stays that way, plus or minus like, I don't know, 1 or 2 cards.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of, where we're at with like Game Changer wise. Like, this is an acceptable number to keep track of, and to also like, because it's also like, in addition to knowing like what's on the ban list, you then also have to know this list, and it's like, this is good. I don't need more slices.
Yeah, so each of the legends that they mentioned, like, oh wow, these are some pretty strong commanders. Also, it's like Sway the Stars has been on the commander ban list for a super long time. So has Vorinclick's Voice of Hunger. Expropriate's pretty annoying, like if you're not used to it, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's manageable. And at the very least, someone casts Expropriate, it's a high mana value card, it probably just wins the game. I'm like, isn't that the whole point of Commander? It's like, you made it to like 8 mana or more, you should probably win the game. That's where I am these days, and I think a lot of people are coming to realize that.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, that's sort of the inevitability of an eternal format, where like inevitably it's going to become more and more consistent, and so like there's going to be inevitably more and more consistent wins at a lower mana curve. And so like, dude, if you're gonna win like with 8 mana, like it, like you're fine. Like it's even at lower power levels, it's probably fine.
Yes. And it is also like, notably, they had a list at the beginning of the year, and I think they were pretty conservative. And then, as the year has gone on and people have had the chance to use this system at different events, they have been able to take that feedback and then say like, okay, we were wrong in kind of like putting some of these cards on, and they're taking like that player feedback seriously. So I think that's also nice, and getting that from the Commander format panel has also been probably pretty helpful.
Yep. So I think the other next big change is the fact that there's the Commander format panel update as of, well, probably about 2 weeks ago on December 11th, 2025. So there's been a Commander format panel member rotation. So 6 people are rotating off the panel. Rotating off are Attack on Cardboard, Charlotte Sable, Daquan Watson, Greg Sablon, Kristen Gregory, and Scott Larrabee. And rotating onto the panel are Alex Hayer, aka at Higher MTG, mostly known for their work on Playing with Power MTG, more of a CEDH Commander channel. And then there's also Tomer Abramovinci, aka known as at Budget Commander, somebody known for being part of Channel Fireball, someone who's like been part of the Magic Commander community for a super long time and saying opinions about the format. Those are the big changes. So there are in total 11 11 continuing members, that being Bandit, Benjamin Wheeler, Deku, Itetu, Josh Lee Kwai, Lewis Stardust, Olivia Gilbert-Hicks, Rachel Weeks, Rebel Lily, Tim Willoughby, and Toby Elliott. I think this is sort of the announcement that low-key is like the most shocking to me, because from what knowledge is that you and I are privy to, like Wizards of the Coast, sort of like the Council of Colors, is like they're interested in like constantly rotating this group of people to manage the format, where in theory, because you're constantly rotating members, you get a more broad and holistic perspective. And so it's sort of interesting to me, because like Charlotte Sable has been like a member of the rules committee for a very long time. Like Daquan Watson has as well. So has Greg Sablon. And especially Scott Larrabee. So it's sort of interesting to me, where like, all right, like here it truly is like the Commander Rules Committee, it truly shifting from like the core Rules Committee plus the Commander Advisory Group, the CAG, like those total people combined, and it's truly shifting away from that, and now it's totally shifting into whatever is going to be the CFP, the Commander Format Panel, which is not necessarily an inherently bad thing. I'm just noticing the change of personnel. I'm noticing how these people that have been kind of in charge of the format and choosing the ultimate rules like are now leaving, and I'm just sort of questioning what is going to happen in the future. And I don't know. I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first year of them doing this. I'll be interested to see how this plays out over the next 2-3 years, as they probably rotate people out, rotate people on. It'll be, I think, healthy for the format, because I know that they've always talked about how they want to make sure that they're getting a wide range of people's opinions, because I think like the people that they added on are from out of the states, so that helps with like getting the outreach out of the USA to make sure that like the entire world is represented.
I know that's always a critique. It's like, all right, you're so United States centric. What about South America? What about Europe? What about like beyond the Western world? Like, even if they aren't your biggest markets, don't you still care about what they have to say?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're going to build planes and lore around them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is, we're talking about it this year. It'll be interesting to talk about it next year and see if we have any like new thoughts, whether it be good or bad. Like maybe this was some good changes that they've had. Maybe it was some bad changes.
Yeah. So leading into our next topic, do we want to talk about like the big events / controversies / topics of 2025?
Yes. Which this will be kind of like there's several topics we'll talk about, but this is kind of like our last like main section. So we talk about like, the main controversies of the year, or just things that have come up. So this first one is something we kind of alluded to earlier, which is Vivi Ornatier, who was banned in Standard, but this just brings up the concern once again that like this is a card that was pushed pretty hard for a Universes Beyond set, probably because I'm not familiar with this character in Final Fantasy, but like, had to probably be a powerful card to appease people who work at Final Fantasy. I think we're lucky that this is so far the only card this year that's kind of like faced this issue. It's not like we saw 5 cards from Final Fantasy get like banned. It was so far just 1, but yeah, it does just kind of like bring up a general concern of like, but what if this is a normal that goes forward with these Universes Beyond sets?
I mean, yeah, it's sort of the question of like, do the Universes Beyond licensors expect like a super powerful mechanic card in order to sell product? And that's always the concern with myself.
Like the One Ring was kind of the big one from 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think the One Ring is still a pinnacle example of like, all right, the One Ring is in the lore of its canon, like one of the most powerful objects in the world, in its world. And so is it going to then like infiltrate the like mechanical power level of Magic the Gathering? And in the One Ring's case, the answer is yes. Like, you need like 3 copies of it in certain formats just to be able to function, and everyone more or less agrees that's bad for the game.
Yeah,
and
most
so like
definitely.
I've stopped caring about Universes Beyond, but I've heard people like my friend Park play against Vivi. He killed it first time it came out because he's like, oh, I've heard it's broken. And then he's like, all right, well, I'll see what it can do the second time it comes out, like after commander tax. So the person clearly paid like the commander tax of 5 mana, got it back out, and won the game off of some like boring infinite combo within red and blue. And was just like, oh, okay, I win. And Park was like, okay, what a waste of my time. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
Not
this is just
not the
gonna
biggest
be,
fan.
Yeah, I mean, this is what's going to be so interesting about this year being the first year that this is, you know, so Universes Beyond heavy. It'll be more interesting to also like kind of reflect on this a year later, being like, oh, hey, this year wasn't so bad, or hey, this year was much worse, you know, or maybe it's the same. So I don't know.
Yeah. So next up we have, again, the Spider-Man set being considered by most people to be an absolute failure, which again sort of surprises me because like Spider-Man is supposed to be beloved by like almost anybody with like a common disposition, but because they kind of fumbled it in terms of like just the way they like tried to integrate it into the current card game, where you're like, wow, this does not feel natural whatsoever into like the universes within, and then also like all the spider typal cards like completely overriding anything that existed within Spider Typal before. And then Peter Parker's like I get like it's just bad. It's just bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would not be able to tell you a single card from Spider-Man if it weren't for the Soul Stone, which I feel like
oh my god, the fucking Soul Stone. Don't get me started on the fucking Soul Stone, you bitch.
That's also going to be interesting to talk about next year, considering we're going to get another Marvel set, and I bet we'll get at least 2 more Infinity Stones, if not more. So it'll be this one. I feel like not One Ring power level, but like still strong. But yeah, they're certainly pushed.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, the Soul Stone is basically called the Terminus Stone, within the Magic IP. And it's basically a 2-mana black rock that has nothing but upside. So it's like, well, I'm in mono black. Why don't I just play this card? I am kind of objectively wrong if I don't play this card. And that's kind of the point, where like you're just wrong if you don't play this what is otherwise a Universes Beyond card, if not like what the universe is within printing. And I feel like the reason I'm like expressing frustration is because like this is what we complained about in the beginning, where it's like, all right, you can have Universes Beyond product, but we don't want it to affect actual universe within gameplay. We don't want it to be so strong that it's going to fuck standard. We don't want it to be so strong that it fucks up commander. And it has. We have cards like the One Ring, where it's fucked up standard. We have cards like the Soul Stone, which it's like, if you're not playing in a mono black, you're probably objectively wrong, because it's a great mana rock in mono black. And that's not a trend I want to see. So fuck off.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next point, but like this is a controversy, but it's probably for like the better. They did announce a Monster Hunter Secret Lair super drop, so I believe there were going to be 4 secret layers themed around Monster Hunter. But after previewing all the cards, the community backlash of them saying this isn't that good, like nobody really likes this. WotC said, all right, we won't sell it as is. We'll do it again. So they canceled it to then say we will do better. So I think that's kind of a positive, because at least they're like listening to the fan base.
Hopefully they're like, oh, we can't sell enough of this product because nobody likes it. Oh, let's delay it. Which I'm in favor of.
I mean, they have come back and said that they will print a new secret layer for Monster Hunter. But it's just like, what is it? We don't know yet.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, I very much am thankful for a company that here's our initial reaction. Oh, you don't like it? Okay. Let's put that on the back shelf. Let's put whatever we've got currently going on. Let's up it a little bit in production schedule. Hopefully that doesn't cause mass problems, and we can just maybe return to this and we can think about it and fix it. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Alright, what's next?
I was hoping you could talk about this next one. I don't know.
Okay, well, this next one is something that I've at least personally dealt with, and that's just like TCG Player has had quite a bit of issues. Earlier this year, they went through a shift in location from New York to, I believe, Kentucky, maybe Tennessee, one of those two, which they kind of just dropped suddenly on a lot of their employees and weren't offering them great pension packages. And I think they went on like strike for a bit. Eventually they were able to come to a settlement agreement. And then after relocating, I know at least I have personally gone through or have had multiple orders canceled due to inventory issues or receiving orders with incorrect cards. So this has just been something that's been going on throughout the year that I know a lot of people have talked about on like Reddit. So if that's just me though, that's just me.
No, I don't think it's you. I think those who are heavily invested in the card game just know about the anti-unionizing efforts of TCG and people trying to get a fair wage, and yeah, just like trying to like still get their cards, but also still trying to like support individual people. So that's totally been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since TCG Player has been bought out by eBay.
Yes, though I believe that's been since last year at least.
Yeah, I mean, it still takes like a while for their infrastructure to affect the lower ones. Yeah. All right, so the last of the sort of big events, controversies / topics is the hybrid mana debate has resurrected, and I'd say this has been resurrected again within the later half of the year with the Commander format panel having a meeting with a lot of Wizards of the Coast staff, where a lot of Wizards of the Coast staff have talked about how having the hybrid mana rule that's existed within all other formats would be beneficial for play design if the Commander format would follow suit. Because for those of you not entirely clear, the Commander format has sort of had its own way of dealing with things because of the Commander color identity when it comes to hybrid mana. So hybrid mana, the whole idea is like, you see Reese the Redeemed, oh, I'm playing Commander, it's either a like green or white card. It's not a green and white card, or where it's both. Like, you need a Commander deck that sees both the white and green colored entity. It can't just be like a mono green deck to play Reese the Redeemed. It can't just be a mono white deck to play Reese the Redeemed. That's probably the best way I can explain it. And so ever since that meeting, like, there have been a number of like Wizards of the Coast employees who have like made videos, and there have been a number of people that have been explaining how those videos maybe weren't in best faith, which I've heard and I'm like somewhat convinced about. And so the end result of that is it doesn't really matter, because we live in a world where the Commander format's now ruled by Wizards of the Coast. You can call the CFP, you can call it the Commander format panel, but at the end of the day, the Commander format is ruled by Wizards of the Coast. It doesn't matter what you think. Fuck you. Like, you had your chance. You had your chance with Sheldon Menery and like everybody else. It doesn't matter. Fuck off. It's controlled by Wizards of the Coast. And so, for better or for worse, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, in a number of years, like, I think the number of I'm trying not to be too callous. Well, like, there's a number of Wizards of the Coast employees who do genuinely care about the people that have shaped the format of Commander and are trying to genuinely engage with those people. But at the end of the day, like, Wizards of the Coast is going to decide whatever they're going to want to do, and they're probably going to want to do whatever is best for their card game designers. And so the hybrid rule is probably going to happen in the next year of 2026. That's where I stand. And now, Guy, after me rambling, what do you have to say?
I see where you're coming from, because I think at the end of the day, like, they can kind of decide what they want.
They're at least
However,
polite. They're at least polite about it.
Yeah, they're at least polite about it, where they have, this format panel that they consult. So I feel like if they get enough of the support from the panel to be like, yes, we think that this is good enough, they'll roll with it. And it's only if it's like a resounding no that they probably wouldn't, because then people would be like, well, why the panel said no, but you did it anyways. So, then there'd be backlash. So I am kind of like strapping my seatbelt, putting on a helmet, putting on mouth guards, like waiting for this change to be announced in like early 2026, like in the next couple weeks, that hybrid will be legal in Commander. Mm-hmm. Like I almost feel like they're just kind of like giving you a heads up, like this is coming. So,
Guy, can you and I also talk about the fact that like this whole discussion has come up right before the release of Lorwyn Eclipsed, a set and playing infamous for its hybrid mana costing cards? Can we at least talk about that?
I mean, we can, and I just don't think it's subtle.
Yeah. Where, like, I feel like as soon as, like, okay, at least within the, okay, how about this? Within the year of Lorwyn Eclipse being introduced, Wizards of the Coast, aka the Commander format panel, is going to say, we have decided hybrid mana is going to work the way we want to do within all formats, including Commander. I feel like that's what's going to happen within the next year. And, like, I can't, like, this debate has been going on for so long because it's been such, like, a back and forth. Like, even if Wizards of the Coast were to declare it in the year that I'm predicting, it's like, okay, yeah, like, there's probably going to be some resistance, but, like, there's not going to be so much resistance that, like, the format is gonna like fall apart. And so because of that, it's like, things are probably gonna be fine. Like, things are not so critical that they're going to fall apart, tear apart, and just like absolutely ruin the game company that makes it.
Yes. So this again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but like, this year is setting up for a lot of interesting discussion that we'll probably have next year. Actually, we may even have it in our next episode, because they may even announce this by the time we get to recording for Lorwyn. So alright, so that was one more change. Blake, you actually will probably need to speak to this last one a bit, because I am not too familiar with the change that EDH rec went through.
Mm-hmm. So I'll speak on this next subject matter, and even then, I'm going to be completely honest with all of you listeners. I still have not... I think I need to watch the video like 2 or 3 more times before I fully understand the like grasp and understanding of it. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like I did not grasp it on my first reading, and that's all I've had since. So EDH Rec website introduced how they're introducing what's called lift scores. And so they explained how lift scores are different from synergy scores, how they're different from every other thing, every other score for cards for the 99, cards for the as a commander, and how it's positively and negatively correlated. I mean, I really would. This sounds like a total cop-out, and I apologize, but I really would advise you to just like listen to the original broadcasting where Joy from EDH Rec and another person who's been behind the scenes trying to make the lift scores like compatible and understandable, like make sense, and basically how like EDH Rec is a great resource, but it's I think in watching the broadcast explain how lift scores are different from synergy scores, I think it just sort of emphasized to me as a player where it's like the rec in recommendation stands for recommendation. It's not like solid gold foundation, like all-knowing solid knowledge. It's like you at the end of the day are a player. You get to decide how this format is, and that's what I ultimately believe in the grand scheme of things. So even though EDH Rec lift scores are a new thing and they have yet to be understood, I do both encourage you to learn about it and understand it, as I'm trying to do, but also acknowledge that like at the end of the day, you're the deck builder. You get to choose whatever like deck is going to be the deck, and that's perfectly acceptable as well. And that's what I have to say.
Okay. Well said. So we're coming to the end. So next year, 2026, what are our hopes? What can we expect? In terms of what we can expect, we have 7 new sets for next year, which 3 of those being in-universe sets. So Lorwyn Eclipsed, which is less than 10 days away from us at this point. We'll have Secrets of Strixhaven, and then Reality Fracture, which is kind of the big culmination of the last 3 years of sets. And then we have 4 Universes Beyond sets. So we have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set, the Hobbit set, Marvel Superheroes, and then Star Trek. So more Universes Beyond next year than we did this year.
Guy, will you go through and explain what you're most or least excited about for each set? Tell me in detail.
Oh, for each set?
Yes.
I mean, Lorwyn, probably most excited because it's going to feel the most magical. Secrets of Strixhaven, probably most excited to get modal double face cards again. Reality Fracture is going to be like a time spiral 2 kind of thing. TMNT, we get a new version of Ninjutsu, Hobbit, probably get Lord of the Rings reprints, Marvel Superheroes, we get new Infinity Stones, and Star Trek, I have nothing good to say.
Alright, so here's what I have to say. Lorwyn Eclipse, I'm excited about hybrid mana cards. I'm excited about the duality of the plane between Shadowmoor and Lorwyn. In terms of Secrets of Strixhaven, I feel like there is a lot of more room to explore within the plane beyond like what was initially presented, beyond J.K. Rowling, because J.K. Rowling sucks ass. I am excited to like, even with Reality Fracture, I'm excited to see what Reality Fracture has to offer besides like Star Trek besides Star Trek, besides Edge of Eternities.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Yeah, TMNT. I've seen the lands for TMNT.
Oh, those lands are so bad.
All right, to be fair, I kind of like the ingenuity of like the onions for the sun. I kind of like the like green broccoli for the green. I kind of like certain vegetables or fruits for like getting the symbols for TMNT. But yeah, it's like, oh my god, what the fuck is this? The Hobbit, I feel like is going to be slightly less successful than the Lord of the Rings set, which is apparently, I don't know. Lord of the Rings set was apparently one of the most best-selling sets of the year. So listen, what do I fucking know? Like, The Hobbit is probably going to sell $5 billion. Who am I? I'm just a lowly bitch. Like, what do I know? I'm just a dude. Yeah. Fuck me. Like, Marvel superheroes probably gonna sell $5 billion. And who knows? Star Trek? Like, it doesn't matter the fact that there was like Edge of Eternities. It doesn't matter the fact that there was Doctor Who. It doesn't matter the fact that there was like similar space themed sets within the last 10 years. Fuck me. Like, Star Trek? Probably gonna sell $10 billion. Fuck me. I'm just a dude in a basement. Fuck my ass. I don't care.
Wow. That... I think in a year, I'm gonna be like, well, Blake, here's what you had to say about last year, this year, and then I'll repeat all of that, and then you'll be like, I didn't say that.
I'd love to be proven wrong, but at the same time, I also know how the world is, and I'm just like, I know so many people who just care about Star Trek and will just see anything Star Trek related and buy it. That's just how it is. And so, like, I'd love to be proven wrong. But at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, I think Star Trek is the one that makes me the most callous. Because we basically got Edge of Eternities within the last year, which is basically like Magic's version of Star Trek. And then we've also gotten just like, I don't know, so many cards were like across the multiverse, across galaxies, we've gotten all these cards. And like thematic wise, like you should probably be fine, but it's like, oh, they're going to create Captain Kirk, Great General, and he's gonna have some generic ass effect, and he's going to be $50.
I mean, I'm laughing only because I'm pretty sure you're right.
It's gonna be like Captain Kirk, like solid fake hairdo, and he's gonna have like some solid effect where he like buffs all humans and soldiers by +5/+5, and therefore he's like now a soldier and citizen staple.
Okay, good prediction. It'll be interesting to see how next year plays out. I guess any closing thoughts before we give our outro, our last for the year?
Only expect 12 episodes from us next year, bitches.
Yeah. So, alright, we are the Wizard Staff Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to leave a like and review. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Blue Sky at WizardStaff101. Send us an email at thewizardstaff101@gmail.com if you want to bitch and complain about how stupid we are. We thank you for listening. Thank you for listening all year. We'll see you in 2026. Have a great night. Peace.
Peace.